Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Hope you guys can hear me. I didn't even check any of my audio or anything like that. Let me go in the comments here and see if anybody's got me in here. Okay, we got a bunch of people in here already. And yes, no. Can you guys hear me? It's hard to know if you hear me because I'm not talking to anybody. Of course you guys can hear me. It's all good. We've got about, we got 100 people in here. We'll start right now. I'm not really going to do any, questions. I'm just going to go into, basically the video, what I talked about in the video. And, we're basically going to talk about David Miscavige. Now, not a lot of people know the history of David Miscavige in Scientology. He basically joined the Sea Org when he was very young. I think when he was a teenager. His father went to England, and his father, Ron Miscavige Sr., went to England and got involved in Scientology. And then when David was small, he had asthma, and he was really small, and he was even small for a kid. He got picked on. And he was actually kind of a problem child, according to Ron. When he was little, they called him, it's a Scientology thing, but they called him Enrique N Theta. And N Theta in Scientology is basically like if someone is just getting angry, or they're throwing a tantrum and they're getting basically upset. That's called N Theta, enturbulated theta. And so that was one of his nicknames when he was a little kid, when they were in Scientology, was Enrique N Theta. They called him Little Hitler. He was a handful, according to his father. Anyway, but he joined the Sea Org when he was, I want to say when he was in his teens. Mike might be able to, name exact ages on some of these things, because Mike was around. I think actually Mike was around even before Miscavige, because Mike worked on the Apollo, which is one of the ships that L. Ron Hubbard had, where the Sea Org was started. Anyway, David Miscavige worked as a cameraman at what is now Golden Era Productions, and L. Ron Hubbard was the director of the film unit, and David Miscavige was the cameraman. So he worked there. Then he went on to work in what's called the Commodore's Messenger Organization, and that is basically an organization that takes Hubbard's orders and then gets them done inside Scientology, where whatever Scientology organization would go about getting those orders carried out. That's what their job is, to do that. And David Miscavige worked in there for a while, and then he went and worked. He was basically, when Hubbard had to kind of like go into hiding and not be part of Scientology management, David Miscavige was what was called special project ops, and any special projects that were being written or directed by Hubbard, David Miscavige was the one that was carrying a lot of those out and getting them done. And then he went and worked at Authored Services, which is the organization that basically got all the money from Hubbard's books and then funneled that to Hubbard. And also kind of ran, they were a very high up organization, and they were kind of like, not as high as RTC, but kind of level to them, which RTC is Religious Technology Center. When Hubbard passed away in 1986, David Miscavige basically wrestled control from the two people that Hubbard had turned it over to, Annie and Pat Broker, and then he became basically the dictator of Scientology, and gave himself the title of chairman of the board, Religious Technology Center. And that was in 1986. He was Miscavige was 26 when he took over Scientology. He was 26 years old. So pretty young. And also didn't finish high school. Somebody said basically in the comments, I had to look, and I looked, and they said, you said the B word. I knew it. Anyway, so basically, Miscavige took over Scientology when he was 26, and he was running all of Scientology internationally. Now, my relationship with David Miscavige started in 1990. So basically 4 years after David Miscavige took over. And I worked at Golden Era Productions, which was the organization that produces all of the promotional materials, videos, books, advertisements, magazines, anything that's media, audio, video, or print was produced by Golden Era Productions. And because David Miscavige had also worked in Golden Era Productions in the past, he loved to hobby horse and micromanage Golden Era Productions all the time. Like when I first went to Golden Era Productions in 1990, I worked in an area that made cassettes. And I would say for many, many months, maybe even a year, when I first worked there, David Miscavige would come into my work area every single day and come through and ask questions and see what was happening. And that went on for a while. And then in a few years later, I went to work in the cinematography division, and everything that we shot on film, we shot training films for internal training films for Scientology, and everything that we shot each day, David Miscavige had to approve that night. So we would shoot film, it would get developed, and then he would watch the shots and he would say yes or no. And then if we had a reshoot, that was like a big deal, and we would get in trouble. And so there was a lot of times when we would meet with him and he'd say, why did you guys do this? Or why did you do that? And we'd get notes back on the shots from him. And then a few years after that, I got promoted to an executive position, and I was over all manufacturing and all production for Golden Era Productions. And I attended hundreds and hundreds of meetings with David Miscavige from that position. And then also I produced a lot of the Scientology events. So we would do 7 events each year all over the world for Scientology, in England, in the Caribbean, in Florida, in Los Angeles, in Denmark. It changed year to year where we would do some of these things. And David Miscavige was the MC of almost every single event. He would be the one who would run the event. He would micromanage all of the videos that we would produce leading up to the event and then show inside of the event. So, these stories aren't coming from somebody who just maybe met him one day. I've spent thousands of hours with this dude over the course of 15 years and have attended many, many meetings. And sometimes the meetings we would have with him would be a half hour. Sometimes the meetings we would have with him would be 9 hours. Like we would go to his office, his building, the RTC building. We would go there after lunch and we'd leave at the end of the night at like 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. We would sit there and meet with him, and he would berate us and yell at us. And anyway, so I know a lot about David Miscavige, and I've seen him at his best and I've seen him at his worst. And so yeah, I figured let's tell some stories. There's a few things that I've learned over that 15 years. He hates when people tell stories about him, and he also hates old pictures of himself. So I figured maybe I should come on here and tell some stories. And then for good measure, we'll put some pictures up while we tell them. So I think that'd be a fun. If you see me looking over here, it's just because I have some notes, because I didn't want to forget some of these. Some of these are really, really good, so I made some notes about them. So let's see, what's a good one here? Okay, so there was a party. This is, and then now, mind you, a lot of these stories that I'm going to tell you were told either by somebody who was with Dave, or they were told to us by Dave himself. And in most of these, we heard these from Dave. Like he told us, or I just witnessed it. I was there when it happened. There was a party, and I don't remember who was throwing it. I think it was Oprah Winfrey who was throwing the party, and it was a birthday party for Missy Elliott. So the exact opposite of David Miscavige, a rapper. Anyway, David Miscavige, I think either through Tom Cruise or John Travolta, somehow David Miscavige worked himself in to this party, to attending Missy Elliott's birthday party. And John Travolta was there. Oprah was there. I think Tom Cruise was there. It was like a who's who of celebrities in Los Angeles. And we heard that Bill Clinton was there as well. And so Dave goes to the party, and then Dave came back to the base that's in Hollywood, the Sea Organization base that's in Hollywood, and it's called the HGB, the Hollywood Guarantee Building. And a Sea Org member said, "Sir, is it true that you met Bill Clinton?" And Dave Miscavige said, "No, that's not true. Bill Clinton met me." That's Dave Miscavige in a nutshell. That's David Miscavige. And David Miscavige really, he really thought of himself as somebody above the president of the United States. He really did believe that he was more important, he was more valuable as a person, smarter, more cunning, and he demanded presidential treatment. And to give you some examples, when I was in the cinematography division, and also when we were running these events, David Miscavige, he had his own makeup people that were in the Sea Organization. So the girl that worked for me, who did makeup for the films and videos, she was also David Miscavige's makeup artist. And so when we would go to do an event, she would travel with us to the event. And whenever Dave would go on stage, or whenever photos were being taken, or whenever there was any kind of thing where he needed to look photo ready, this girl would do his makeup. And I want to say in like the mid to late 90s, he was like, "I need you to go and find whoever does the president's makeup, or whoever does makeup for, very important people. You need to get that person to train you on how to do my makeup." And so we paid some dude, I want to say several $1,000s to spend a day or two at the international headquarters and go through all the things that this guy did on makeup for these people. I don't know. There's a gal that did, who's done makeup for presidents for like the last 30 or 40 years. It wasn't her, but it was some other guy that was a very popular makeup artist who also did, I think he did Bush Jr. and he did Clinton. I can't remember, but he had the qualifications of a presidential makeup artist, so we hired him. And then we also had a guy who did the microphones, the podium mics, who did that for the president. We had to get that guy to come in and try to tell us what he did for when he did when he set up the president's microphones. I mean, it was pretty ridiculous. But some of the other things that he would do, though, is like at the Ant base, it's almost 100% Sea Org members there. So you have, when I was there, I think I want to say it was an upwards of 700 Sea Org members that were at this one property. And they would feed us like cafeteria style. It would be massive amounts of like the meal, and you would just get platters with piles of that food on it, and you would take it to your table, and then you dish up your food. And And because I was on the executive committee for many years, I was privy to how much we spent on food. And it was about $1 a day per person. That's how much we spent on food. And that is really stretching the dollar to be able to do that. And when we were there and doing that, also when I was on the night, when I was working in the cassette area, we would go into the freezers at night because we were there all night long. We'd go down and we would eat what was called midnight rations. And that was basically our lunch that we would eat, but there'd be nobody left most of the time. Weren't that many crew there, and we would go into the executive fridges, and that's where all Dave's food was. And Dave would have seafood that was driven up from Los Angeles each day, and it was from a company called Santa Monica Seafood. And that was in Santa Monica, which is about a 2-hour drive from the international headquarters without traffic. It could be 3 to 4 hours in traffic, but he would have seafood driven up every single day to the property so that he would always have fresh seafood. And sometimes he didn't even eat it, but he would have it. And one day I found out how much they spent on that. And for one package or one delivery of seafood could be several $100s, could be $400 or $500 worth of seafood. So the amount that the amount that he would spend on one single meal for food could feed a Sea Org member for an entire year. And he was eating that every single day. So, yeah, that's kind of like, if you wanted to say, like, compared to us, what he was spending on food, that's what it was. It was several hundred times more what he would get compared to what we were. And I know we're in a cult. He's the leader of the cult. He ain't going to get a ham and cheese sandwich, but at the same time, maybe don't spend $1 on us, But regardless, we did what we did. He did what he did, but he would have his shoes, custom Italian shoes made in Italy. He had a private tailor that was in Italy that would make all his suits and all that good stuff. By the way, that guy said he's 5'1". That 5'1" is a generous measurement. And I think on Wikipedia it says he's 5'3", and then somewhere somebody said, I think it was Aaron or somebody said he said he was like 5'6" or something. I personally say that he's 4'13" because that just sounds better. Also, let's do this. Let's just move this slide forward a little here. Let's go to the next picture. This is about what Dave looked like I want to say this is from the late 80s maybe. He used to have a really big bushy beard. And then this is a picture of him and Shelley, actually. He hates this picture, by the way. So we'll leave this one up for a little bit. Okay. And then, let's see, let's do another one. Oh, this is a great one. So at the Int base, we all wore uniforms. So we had, the Sea Org is like the fake Navy. Hubbard could have at least thought of another name. If you're going to rip off the Navy and you're going to make your own, organization and not call it the Navy, the Sea Organization. That's a pretty close. That's like, there's not a lot of, misinterpretation that you ripped that off. Even people I'm sure they're commenting, oh, mid-rats, that's a Navy term. Yeah, no, I get it. I know everything about the Sea Org is a ripoff of the Navy, And somebody did tell me in the Sea Organization, we have this thing called the RPF. And also at the base, if you were in trouble or something, you would get restricted to the base. And I know in the Navy, they have what's called a restriction. And it does seem that the RPF is kind of a close ripoff of restriction or restricted or whatever they called it in the Navy, but then taken to a whole nother level. But regardless, we would wear these uniforms. And now, mind you, we're in the middle of the desert. So we're in the middle of the California desert, and we're wearing polyester shirts, long sleeve with a tie, and we're wearing these wool pants. Like, what? Like, we're wearing, like, I guess what you would call not dress blues, but like working blues, long sleeve shirts and long sleeve and pants, and black, like, I don't know what, pleather, leather, fake leather shoes. Anyway, we would have to wear that Sunday through Friday. On Saturdays, we would wear civvies, civilian clothes. And that was sort of the routine. Well, David Miscavige didn't want anyone in the Sea Org and at the Ant Base to think that we were like him. So whenever we were wearing our uniforms, he was wearing civvies. And so we would be, and also uniforms is a big thing. You get uniform inspections, you get in trouble if your shirt's not pressed and if your shoes aren't shined. It was a big deal if you were out of uniform. And every day David Miscavige was out of uniform. He's just wearing regular clothes, and his staff would wear regular clothes. And then when we would wear civvies on Saturdays, he would show up in his Sea Org uniform. And I don't remember, I think this went on for months and months, maybe even years, and nobody knew what was going on. Like, everybody was like, why does he do this? Like, this is so weird. And then one time he said, I don't want you guys think that I'm like you. I'm nothing like you. I have nothing to do with what you are. I am totally separate. So he would never be in the same uniform or in the same clothes as us so that we wouldn't think that he was one of us. I mean, these are all like just regular ways things happen. This is not like, it wasn't like, this wasn't a special thing. This was just like one of many things that happened. There's a picture in here. Let me see if I can find it. We'll go one forward. We'll go to, okay. So that is in the this is early 90s, I want to say. I don't know. It could just be a really bad picture, so it looks like that. But this is his Sea Org uniform. And in this picture, there's other pictures of him where he has like just campaign bars. Like, so whenever something would happen in Scientology, like a new book was released or a new lecture series was released or a new movie, whatever it was, there would be a campaign bar issued for all the Sea Org members that worked on that. And of course, David Miscavige micromanages everybody in every possible part of Scientology in the Sea Org. So he just had like a whole, side of his shirt with campaign bars. But he only, and later on, I want to say in the early 90s, he switched to just wearing one campaign bar. And this is this one. That's a red campaign bar. It's pretty big too. And it has one gold star in the middle of it. And that is, I think, his personal service to the Commodore. And so that's the only one he wore for a long time after that. And you can see he's got 4 stripes. He's got his gold lanyards. Yeah, that's his Sea Org. That's him in his Sea Organization uniform. And this is at an event and where he was a speaker. And somebody's saying in the comments, oh, that looks like the IAS. No, he's in uniform, and there's only certain events that he would be in uniform, and IAS is not one of those events. So it's not that. I don't remember which one it is because I don't know what the rest of the picture is. And he did have this bouffant, whatever you call this hairstyle for a little while there. Coincidentally, when I was on the event crew, I was David Miscavige's stand-in. So whenever they would do the lighting and the mic checks and all that, I was his stand-in. And one day he asked me, well, aren't you Marc Yeager's stand-in and Norman Starkey's stand-in and Guillaume's stand-in, all these other executives in Scientology? And I said, yes, sir, but I have a height simulator. And I had this contraption that was inside of a Halliburton case. And it was this wood thing with all these hinges and flaps and basically like a Rube Goldberg device that I had made. And if I put it between my legs and I spread my legs out, I would be David Miscavige's height. And if I folded it in a certain way and stood on top of it, then I would be Marc Yeager's height. Marc Yeager's like a good foot or taller than David Miscavige. And then Guillaume is a little shorter than that. And Norman Starkey is about the same height as Guillaume. Anyway, depending on how I folded it up, I would stand. But that was just another thing that I did. And I thought it was funny because it's not a flight simulator. It's a height simulator. And he was like, well, and that was the best part. He was like, well, how you're taller than me. How can that make you my height? And then I folded it all the way out, and then I spread my legs so I would put them around it. And then I got really short, and I was looking like eye to eye with him when I was talking. I was like, that's how. And he was just like, oh my God, this guy, what a piece of, anyway. So, yeah. So yeah, that's my height simulator story. Okay, let's see what other pictures, because I got another good one coming up. Oh, this was in the, this is in a criminal case against Scientology in the Lisa McPherson court case. And I'm pretty sure that this picture is why David Miscavige doesn't get served, and he doesn't want to have anything to do with any lawsuits, because in this lawsuit, they came really close to getting their asses burned. And this is him. This is David Miscavige in the courtroom. And you can see this is Larice behind him, the girl that's sitting right next to him. I don't know who that is. I can't see. And then this guy, his name is Glenn Stylo. And then I want to say that's Lynn Farney. Somebody in the comments, if there's Sea Orgers in the comments here, you can tell me if that's Lynn behind Glenn Stylo. But this was in a criminal case against Scientology, and yeah, I'm pretty sure that's why he doesn't want to end up in there again. Okay, this is actually at the event. There was an event in 1986. A few days after L. Ron Hubbard died, or maybe even the next day or the day after. And that's what David Miscavige looked like when he announced that L. Ron Hubbard had gone off to Target 2 to work on further OT levels. I mean, they literally had an event and they told people this, and they believed it. So yeah, I think I was like 12 or 13 at that time. I was just running around the lobby. It was held at the Palladium in Los Angeles on Hollywood Boulevard, it's about a block or two from Hollywood and Vine, towards Gower, I want to say. Gower? Yeah. Anyway, that is David Miscavige in 1986. And this is David Miscavige at the 2004 IAS event in England when he gave this big old Flava Flav medal to Tom Cruise for being I don't remember what they called it, Medal Freedom of Valor. Yeah, Medal Freedom. Everybody would get a IAS Freedom Medal, but Tom Cruise is the only one who got the Medal of Valor. The IS Freedom Medal of Valor. I think that was what it's called. If somebody remembers, tell me. Yeah, that's that. And I got a good one coming up, and it goes with the story. Okay, this is in the 90s when David Miscavige did a TV show on ABC called Nightline with Ted Koppel. And this was a big deal. And we couldn't watch it because it had the Xenu story in it. So we had to wait for it to air. Then a whole bunch of people in editing edited it and took out the Xenu story. And then we got to watch the show, and everybody was like, oh, Dave kicked his ass and Dave did this. Well, we didn't get to see the part where Ted Koppel owned the shit out of Dave by playing the whole OT3 thing, because everybody wanted to watch Dave on TV. And so Scientologists are like, oh, Dave Miscavige is going to be on Nightline. So I want to say you probably had several thousand Scientologists tune into this show and then get told the OT3 story. and Hubbard's talking about going around Venus on a train and all kinds of craziness. Anyway, yeah, it's pretty awesome. But anyway, YouTube should fix it so you have to thumbs up before you coming into the chat. How hard would that be? I don't know. Anyway, back to the story. Okay, so Dave went on this show with Ted Koppel, and then they were really I remember they were really pissed. And also Dave was pissed in the meeting that they kind of they ambushed him with this story. And the guy's name was, I think it was Forrest Sawyer, I want to say was the guy's name, the reporter's name, and who kind of put together the video pieces that go with the show, with the Nightline show. Anyway, they came. I remember when this was being done because this TV crew came to the Ant base. They filmed us eating in the mess hall. They went in the music studio. They went in the film studio. They were all over shooting us while we were doing stuff. And oh, by the way, we got new uniforms when they came to before they came wherever they were going to go. The people that were in that area got nice new uniforms. So all of us that had our our elbows blown out and worn pants, when you rub your pants like this, a lot of us, because we have these nylon polyester pants, they would get really shiny from wiping your hands on your thighs or your knees. And yeah, we got new stuff. I think we got some shoes, we got a shirt. I want to say if your pants were jacked up, you might have gotten a pair of pants. No BVDs. BVDs and socks, that's all you. That's on you. You got to buy that stuff. They're not, no matter who's coming, ABC, NBC, you're not getting new skivvies. You gotta pay for those yourself. But then what happened was the show won an Emmy. Okay. And guess who got the Emmy? Ted Koppel got the Emmy, because David Miscavige is not a producer. He's nothing. So he didn't get no Emmy. Anyway, he was super pissed that he didn't get an Emmy. Like really pissed. And he would talk about it all the time. Like, I didn't get my fucking Emmy. Anyway, guess what? Scientology made him an Emmy. He has an Emmy in his office for that show. So, yeah, that's another good David Miscavige story. Let me see what else we got. Oh, yeah. When we would work at the base, David Miscavige would work. Usually he'd come in around lunchtime, maybe 1 or 2 o'clock, and then he'd stay up till like 2 or 3 in the morning. And and our schedule was to be there. We would get there at 8, we would have breakfast, and we would go to post at 8:30, go to lunch, 12 to 12:30, we'd have lunch. And then we go to dinner, 5 to 5:30, and then we go to post. And then from 5:30, we'd go, depending on the year and the schedule and whatever, we'd go to either 11 or we'd go to midnight or we'd go to 1, and then over again. And then for many years, we would only get 15-minute meal breaks. So all the meals would just be 15 minutes. And I don't remember where I talked about it, but I think it was in a live stream with Aaron, but the property is 500 acres. So if you worked on the other side of the property and you had to go to lunch didn't start until the time lunch was. If you were caught, and David Miscavige would do this all the time, he'd be sitting in this one area that was right near the mess hall called MCI, Massacre Canyon Inn. He would sit there like around, let's say 4:45. He'd come down for a meeting. And then he'd watch to see who was coming down to lunch before 5. And often you'd be walking with somebody, you'd be joking around like, yo, man, what's up? Da, 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 da. And then he would walk out and be, oh, come over here. I'd be like, what are you guys doing? And then now you're fucked, because now it's like, well, you're going to eat, but it's like 4:58. So you're an asshole because you're 2 minutes early, and you even earlier than that, because he knows you work on the complete other side of the property. You probably left at like 4:40 to get all the way over to and then you're on the decks, or you're doing this or you're doing that because you're worker oriented. You're going to lunch 2 minutes early. But what I was going to tell you is that he would stay up. So even though we were supposed to go to bed at like 11 or midnight or, you know, whatever it was, he would be working. So if he's in your area and he's doing stuff, you can't just be like, peace out, I'm going to go home. You can't do that. You got to stay there. But you don't get to come in after lunch. You got to be there at 8. So it became this thing where people would always just be up till 3 or 4, and then they'd have to come in the morning, and then you'd be doing shit at night, and obviously you're tired. You can't get shit done when you're really, really tired. Well, just imagine being like 5 years tired. Imagine getting like 4 hours of sleep for 7 years. You get really dopey sometimes. But sometimes people, like, he would be working in your area and then he would leave. Like, he'd be like, okay, we're going to get this done. You guys got to get this. We got to make all these. We got to do this, whatever it was. And then you'd be like, yeah, absolutely, sir. And then it'd be like 9:30, and then he'd go and you'd be like, okay, let's rock. And then be like, it's 10:30. We got to get out of here. And we go to the bus, or, you know, whatever it was. And then he'd come back to your area like at 1:00, and he'd be like, where'd these fuckers go? And you'd be catching Z's at your place. And at this time, we lived in town. So we lived in these apartment buildings in Hemet or in San Jacinto, depending on which organization you lived in. You lived in the shitty apartments, or if you were in like the upper organizations, you lived in the nice apartments. And sometimes if you were married to one or the other, if you were in the higher organization and you were married to somebody in gold, you might live in a shitty apartment, and vice versa. So because I was married to Claire and she was in Religious Technology Center, I got to live right next to the property in one of those houses that was right next to the golf course. Not everybody was that lucky. But so he'd come into your area at like 1:00 in the morning and be like, where the fuck are these guys? And that's literally what he would say. He had out of anybody I've ever met my entire life, he was the most vulgar person I've ever heard speak in my entire life. He makes Andrew Dice Clay look like Emily Post. Okay, that's how David Miscavige talks. Anyway, so he would say, get him up, bring him in here, get him in here. Now the apartments are like 15 minutes into town. The buses that would take everybody home would park at the apartments. And then depending on who was driving the buses, you'd have to get that person to be able to bring enough people back into the property. Almost nobody at the Int base has cars. There was some people who had cars, but like, I want to say out of 800 people, there might've been a maximum of like 30 cars in the entire property. And you can look at the aerial drone footage of the base. You're not going to see a lot of cars. There just ain't that many cars. There's maybe like, I'd say even now there's even less. But regardless, you got to get somebody you got to get a bus driver up. Then you got to get the bus driver, or the people at the berthing got to get the people that you need up. And they don't know, not everybody knows where everybody lives. And you got to figure out, hey, knocking on doors. Hey, is Johnny here? Oh no, Johnny he moved. He lives like on the, it could be 3:00 by the time you get back to the property after getting called in. And more often than not, by the time you'd get back to the property and you'd get to the area where he was working, he'd gone to bed. And then you just get there and you're like, what happened? He'd be like, and then there'd be like one of his lackeys there'd be like, CB said we needed to get this done, and then you guys fucked off and went to sleep. And then you'd just be like, okay. And then you'd be like, okay. And then, well, where is he? He's like, he went to sleep. And you're like, so you literally got me out of bed to come in here and he's not even here. And you'd be like, this would happen once a month, something like this would happen. It's just a normal thing. So it got to the point where like, if it's just safer just to sleep under your desk, because if he did come in and he's like, hey, what the hell? I'd be like, you just come crawling up under your desk and be like, what's up? Like, oh yeah, just catching a cat nap. Yeah, it's going to be done like in an hour. It's rendering, or, depending on what area I was working at the time. Anyway, yeah, These are like, I'm trying to think of like, there's not a lot of good stories. Okay. Anybody who knows me from, let me see if there's another picture here. I don't know if people are still in here. If there's like, oh, we got 800 comments. So, I mean, somebody's still in here. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Let's see if we got another picture. Oh yeah. That's RTC. That's him up in RTC. Oh, and look, see, these are those campaign bars I was talking about. And this is nothing. These are all the cherry-picked campaign bars that he put on for this photo. And this is absolutely a photo shoot photo. This wasn't like, hey, Dave, you mind if I turn around and take a picture real quick? No, this is the RTC conference room. It was all lit up like this. And there's, it was made super, super cool for this picture. And this is one of a series. There's another picture like this with Marty Rathbun and Greg Wilhare and Lyman Spurlock and all these other like big Scientology honchos that were in this. But this is up in the RTC conference room I think I want to say this was in the middle villa. If you're looking at that drone footage, that's where this picture is being taken. And yeah, I think in a lot of these pictures, he's by himself because he is a boss baby. He's really tiny. And if you put just any normal person next to him, then he looks tiny. So a lot of these pictures, he's just by himself. Whenever there's a picture that has him standing next to a regular guy, he looks tiny. There's a picture that Aaron put up. There's that guy, he's a Scientology, gave millions of dollars to Scientology. Tom, is it Spina? Jay Spina, I think his name is. And Mark Fisher said, does he have hair plugs? I don't know. That's a good point. His brother and his dad had like a lot of face to wash. So I don't know how he did. He might have dodged the DNA bullet on that one, or maybe he has hair plugs. I don't know about that. I don't know him that well to know if he has hair plugs. I didn't even know hair plugs was a thing until I left the Sea Org. Anyway, so what was I going to say? Oh, boss baby. Yes, he's a total boss baby. There's a picture of him. There's a picture of him standing next to this Jay Spina guy, and Jay Spina has got to be like 2 or 3 feet taller than him. He's very tall. Jay Spina is, and obviously Dave is very small. But anyway, yeah, that's my way of saying somebody's commenting on my way I turn a phrase there. He had a lot of face to wash. That's my way of saying he's going bald. I don't know about Dave though. That's a good question, Mark, but I don't know the answer to that. And you mind wipe me. I was going to tell you another good story. Oh, okay. Anybody who knows me, and this might be in my book. There's a lot. My book was twice as long as it is now. And Claire read some books saying you can't have, when you do your first book, it can't be over 400 pages. So my book is literally 398 pages. But about half of it was cut out. And I haven't read it again recently, so I can't remember what stories are in it, what story is out. Anyway, if this is in it, I'm sorry I'm telling you a story you might already know. But for anybody who's known me since I want to say like 1981 or 1982, I've been a very, very big Depeche Mode fan. And I actually have a tattoo on my shoulder that says DM. And when I was in school, I liked Depeche Mode. When I worked at the international headquarters, I liked Depeche Mode. I would always play it all day, all night, wherever I was always listening to Depeche Mode. And I got in trouble one time in Florida when I was doing some stuff for Dave, some audiovisual stuff in Clearwater for him specifically. And I got in trouble, and I got what's called sent back in a body bag to the headquarters. I didn't go to the RPF, but I did get in big, big trouble. And I was taken off of my post, and I was put on a lower post. And it was right before Sea Org Day. And Sea Org Day is a big deal in the Sea Org because you get the entire day off. And that's not a real frequent occurrence in the Sea Org. That could be the one day you take off the whole year. We didn't even get some years we didn't even get Christmas off, and New Year's we would get like a 45-minute dinner on those days, and sometimes on Christmas you get to, like, from dinner on, it's like, you know what, you guys have done really good. You're gonna take the rest of the night off after dinner. There's buses that'll take you into town and take you to a movie, and that was Christmas. There's many Christmases I can remember we didn't even get the after dinner off. We worked the whole day. We had a 45-minute dinner. That was a very long dinner, 45 minutes. People didn't even know what to do with themselves. But so Sea Org Day, you'd get the whole day off. Well, since I just got busted and sent back to Gold in a body bag, I wasn't going to be celebrating Sea Org Day. And my wife at the time was now in RTC. And we had the Sea Org Day is also, you actually don't actually get the whole day off because there's a Sea Org Day ceremony and you got to set up for that. And I was on the event crew, so we'd have to set up for that. So you don't even really get the day off anyway. But they have ranks and rating ceremonies. So if you're going to get a promotion, if you're going to go from a CPO to a midshipman, that's when you're going to get promoted. You get promoted on Sea Org Day. Almost always. If you do something like spectacular, like win a tax exemption against the IRS, then maybe you'll get promoted in October. But this was in August, Sea Org Day. I'm pretty sure it was in August. Let's just say it was in August. It could have even been in July. It's in the summer. How about that? Regardless, I had just gotten busted, so I wasn't going to be celebrating. I definitely didn't get promoted. And I was really like down and out. And I was sitting with my wife in these bleachers outside, right near where the running program, where you run around the cause resurgence rundown, where you run around the tree. And I was sitting there and I was like, oh man. Now, just the day before or a few days before, the lead singer of Depeche Mode had like a drug overdose, or he tried to commit suicide. Something happened. He was all cut up and he was dead and they had to bring him back to life. It was a big thing. Very traumatic for me. Anyway, David Miscavige comes up to my wife and I. We're just sitting there in the middle of nowhere. Like, he would never do this. He would never almost never. He would very rarely mingle with the common folk, if you will. Anyway, he comes up to my wife and I, and I'm just like, oh, great. That was the other thing. The day before or 2 days before, he did a briefing to the entire crew, all the crew of the Ent base, not just Golden Era, but every single person that worked on that base. And he spent like an hour basically telling everybody what a giant fuck up I was. So that was fun. And then Sea Org Day came like the next day or the day after. And then he comes up and he's almost laughing, like he's almost giddy. And he goes, man, when it rains, it pours. And I'm just like, oh, great. Now what? And he's like, he's like, all that stuff that happened to you, and now your boy tried to kill himself. And I was just like, oh my God. Like, he's even going to bring up the lead singer thing from Depeche Mode. I'm just like, dude, seriously? Like, what the fuck? Hey, he's doing great now, Dave. Coincidentally, the lead singer of Depeche Mode, his name is Dave, which is kind of funny. Anyway, so that's Dave Miscavige in that picture. I don't have any more. I don't really have any more good pictures I want to show you. Let me see if oh, that's weird. Oh, there it is. I'm trying to think of some of these Tom stories. Okay, I'll tell you a Tom story real quick. What time is it right now? Yeah, I got about 11 more minutes. We'll go some more here. To be fair, LRH farmed out his wife and Miss Savage. Yeah, well, that's true. They did. Yeah, that's a good point, Courtney. Anyway, what was I going to tell you? Oh, so when the hole was happening and people were being locked up at the Ent base and not being allowed to leave and all that good stuff, basically they would it was kind of weird. It was like basically seances all day, because David Miscavige would say, you guys need to confess all your crimes. I want to know real crimes, not the paperclip. When you're in Scientology and you're being investigated or you're being asked for your crimes, some people are like, oh yeah, no, I stole a paperclip. And you're like, no, I don't want to know about paperclips. I want to know about like bodies. I want to know about like hard, like real stuff. Anyway, so David Miscavige would say, okay, by tomorrow, I'm going to come back here tomorrow night or whatever. You guys better have any, you better have any crimes confessed, and I want lists. I want to have lists of them. And there'd be like maybe, let's say 50 people in this room. Nobody could leave. And they would just, what about that time you did this? And they'd all just be bickering and fighting and whatever. And then David Miscavige would come in the next day and he'd be like, oh, you guys didn't do anything, you know. And that's where the pie face thing came from. It was that whole era where he'd just be asking questions and everybody would just be like, you know, if you react to something he says, you're going to get in trouble. And if you answer something wrong, you're going to get in trouble. And if you answer it right and think that you're right, then you're going to get in trouble. So most people just evolved. It was an evolution where basically everybody just learned, if you just sit there and go and don't react, then you can't get in trouble. And then sooner or later, he was like everyone's pie face and all this other stuff. Anyway, but one time he came in there and he was like, you know, I just got off the phone with Tom. And, you know, people say like, oh, does Tom Cruise know what's going on? Well, according to Dave, yeah, he knows exactly what's going on. He'd be like, I just told Tom I beat the shit out of a bunch of you and you still haven't confessed your crimes. Tom said he'll come up here and beat the shit out of you with me if you guys don't fucking get with it and da-da-da-da-da. And you're just like, what? Mr. Risky Business is coming to kick my ass? And if you don't know, Tom Cruise ain't that much taller than Dave. So it's almost like, it's like, come on, like that's where these lollipop guild things come from. It's like, oh, your buddy Tom's going to come up here? Oh, really? How's that going to work? Like, what happens if we beat the shit out of Tom? What's going to happen then? How's that going to work? Anyway, so, yeah, you know, it's kind of crazy because you think like, well, what's a comparable thing to this place? The Imp base is basically like the top of the top of the top of Scientology. You can't get any higher than that. And so it would basically be like, I'm trying to think, like if you were in the Catholic Church, if you worked at the Vatican and the Pope just came down and started shit talking at you all day, I mean, you're going to have like a question of faith after that. You're going to be like, the fuck am I doing here? Like, this is fucking, the Pope just told me I'm a giant shit stain. Like, what the fuck do I do now? You know, like that's what it's like. I don't know another scenario that is even comparable to that because it is an insane scenario, no matter how you dice it. But yeah, this is the kind of thing where you think that you're doing, like most of the people that are there are, they're there because they're trying to help people. They think whatever they're doing is good for people and it's helping people. We're getting people off drugs. We're getting people, you know, we're helping criminals reform, all this bullshit that they tell you when you're in the Scientology bubble. And then, meanwhile, in order to do that good, you've got to put up with this little guy and all his nonsense. And because he's really the one who's making stuff happen, you think. And then over the years, you kind of figure out, no, I'm the one making shit happen. And he's just yelling at me when I make it shit happen. And you're kind of, it's a giant mind fuck, especially if you're a kid. So when I got there in 90, I was like 16. I think I just turned 17, either right before or right when I got there. I turned 17 and I hadn't finished school. I didn't really do much school past like 13 or 14 in like today's conventional grades. And, so I don't know this is wrong. I don't know it's right. I don't know. I'm a kid. I got nowhere else to go. So if I leave, I won't ever be able to see my family again. If I stay, I got to put up with this nonsense. And so you're basically, and most of the people that have been there for 10 years or 20 years or, you know, whatever. And I grew up in it. So it's kind of like the fact that I was at this place, like my mom was like, oh my God, my son made it to the top of all of Scientology. And, so you're like, you know, in your family's eyes, you're a rock star, but when you get there, you're like, oh, this place is a shit show. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to give you guys, I'm trying to give you like an example of what it is, or give you an idea of what it is. And, yeah, the best way that I know to do that is tell you things that happened there. Now, this is a crazy thing because, I mean, I've told you like an hour worth of stuff. I could tell you stuff for 1,000 hours and still have 1,000 hours more to tell. Like every single week, insanity was happening. And that's what I realized a few months ago was like, I was going to write a second book, and I was like, if I write a second book, it's going to be like, you know, another 400 pages worth of stories. I could write another 4,000 pages of stories. So then that's why I was like, maybe if I do a channel, I could tell some of the backstories. One thing I want to do is I want to, when I finish the Scientology spy files on me, that revolve around me, then I'm going to start interviewing people that used to work at the Imp base. And then I'm going to, because I don't know why, and this is the weird thing to me, I have a photographic memory. So I can remember conversations. I can remember exact incidents. I remember all the people involved. I don't always remember the right names because some people there were married like 4 or 5 or 3 times or whatever. So their names changed all the time, but I mostly remembered one of their names. And then, I'm in 3 minutes at 9 p.m. my time, I'm going to switch over to answering chat questions if I can, and we'll see how far, we'll go with that. I don't have anywhere to be, so I'll go as long as you guys are willing to have some useful, questions for me. But yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start interviewing people that were at the Imp base. And because I know almost every single person that's out that was at the Imp base that's willing to talk on a video, there's not a lot of those people, but I know all of them. And most of them I'm actually pretty good friends with. So I, for the most part, was not like a giant shit stain to most of the people that were there. I was a worker, and I made stuff, and I produced films, and I shot films, and I shot videos, and worked in manufacturing and made DVDs and VHS and tapes and all these different things. So I really wasn't in a position to really impose my will on anybody. I was just working. So yeah, so for the most part, I'm pretty friendly with most of the people, and most of the people that we'll talk to, when we're talking, they're going to say, yeah, you're basically the same person you were when you were there. I'm not a different person. I'm the same guy I was when I worked there. I might be a teensy bit smarter, and I'm definitely heavier. But besides that, I'm pretty much the same person. And also I've got 0 fucks to give about telling these stories, because what are they going to do? They've already done so many horrible things. They've set the bar so high. I mean, I'm not sure what they could do to make me stop. I've thought about that. Like, what would they have to do? I can't think of much. So we're going to tell the stories, and we're just going to keep telling the stories until we run out of stories to tell. And then when I'm done, maybe we'll do interviews and we'll do some other stuff, but I'll tell you this right now. I have about, let's say 30, 40 files, spy files on me. I have 5,000 files on other people now. 5,000. I have 5,000 Scientology. It's this is like a WikiLeaks level event of documents that have just poured out of Scientology. So yeah, pretty crazy. Okay, it is 9 p.m. We're done. We're going to end with the Davey Boss Baby stories. I got no more slides. I only had enough Boss Baby stories to go with my slides, and I got no more slides, so I'm out of stories. Okay, let's go to the chat here. Let's see what we got in here. Oh, there's a super chat. Denver Stevio, tell us a billion years of stories. I didn't fulfill my contract, so I don't have a billion years of stories. Okay. Wow, Goldie's missing Pure Power. Oh, Pure Power. I'll tell you about Pure Power. Okay, so in my book, there's a kid. I'll put the chats up here. Boom for good. I'd love to hear more about Pure Power. Hold on, let me get a sip. I've been yapping for an hour straight. Okay, Pure Power is a kid that was at the Ant Base. A genius kid, by the way. He did visual effects. He grew up in the Scientology and the Sea Org. And he was basically like a genius savant when it came to computers and visual effects. And I'm not even sure. He didn't ever go to school or get a GED. I'm not sure how he got so good, but he was very good. Anyway, he worked in the visual effects area, and trying to see how I tell this. In the Sea Org, if you have relations with somebody that you're not married to, that's called out 2D. And if you go out 2D, 99% of the time, you're going to go to the RPF. Anyway, Power went to the RPF, and I want to say he went in Florida. And the girl that he went out 2D with went to the RPF as well. She ended up leaving the Sea Org, and she's like a makeup artist in Los Angeles now. Her name is Mamika. I think she calls herself Micaela to throw the scent off the ex-Sea Org trail. But her name is Micaela Blasco, or Mamika Blasco, in case anybody was wondering where she is or what she's doing. She's a makeup artist, and I'm pretty sure she lives in LA. Anyway, she's not in the Sea Org anymore. As far as I know, Power is still in the Sea Org. And the last I heard, he was in Clearwater, and he's working in a Scientology organization. He's not even doing the thing that he's amazing at, which is visual effects and computer graphics and that kind of stuff. He's just doing, dumpy Sea Org, like going and bringing folders from one place to another. If you want somebody's, here, I'll put it up. Here it is. Poof. I need your email address for the bobblehead pictures, please. If you go on a computer and you go to my YouTube page and you click on the about, it's going to let you see my email. And then you can send the email of your pictures to me, and then I'll put it in the videos. I've gotten a few. A lot of people don't know how to do that. I'm telling you right now, my email is in the about page of the YouTube channel. It'll say view email, and you click that and it'll open it up. I don't want to put it on here because then I'll get 7 million spams. Okay, here we go. Let's see what we got here. There was a lady who worked for Gold here in the UK. I can't remember her name, but she used to be Esso. Oh, she used to be so mean. Told me that getting in the way of a Gold shoot is a suppressive act. There was a lot of typos in that, so I had to, my mind had to work around that. But yes, a lady who worked for Gold in the UK, Lindy Jansen. I don't know. There's a lot of people that worked in Gold that worked all over the place, and they moved them all around. But either way, yes, getting in the way of a Gold shoot is a suppressive act. When we would go, when Gold, when we were at the base, we were the shit stains of the base, the Ant Base. So we were the low guys on the totem pole. Like if someone needs to clean your toilet or unclog your toilet, somebody from Gold's going to do that. Somebody from RTC is not unclogging toilets. But Golden Era was at the international headquarters. So when somebody from Gold goes to LA or goes to the UK or goes to one of these far-flung Sea Org bases, we're like king shit. Like we can eat Raisin Bran for breakfast now because we're executives in UK or whatever. But yes, we would do these photo shoots, And yeah, they sometimes the gold guys could be assholes too. But anyway, let's see here. Was Ron here? What is it? I saw Ron Miscavige. Was Ron Miscavige anything at all like his son? Not really. Anthony Spurgeon, thank you for that. No, he wasn't really like his dad. Hold on, here we go. There we go. Sorry, somebody said you can take down. Thank you, Denver Stevio. I took him down. It was fun leaving it up there because I know that's a big thing. I'll tell you one other David Miscavige story later on, maybe. We'll see. Ron Miscavige was actually, he's kind of funny. He was a veteran, so he was in the military for a while, and he was kind of a hard ass, and but for the most part, he was a pretty funny guy. He joked around a lot. He was super inappropriate sometimes. Like he would say really inappropriate things. That was the time he was from. I don't know if you justify that. It is what it is. Old people sometimes say inappropriate shit. But I'm trying to think of a really fun Ron Miscavige story. I don't know, man. He did and said things that were kind of crazy. Here's a great story. When he left the Sea Org, he called me, and I was like, Ron, oh my God. And he goes, you helped me get out. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? I didn't help you get out. And he goes, no, you did. When I wrote my book, I released it in November of 2009. And I only wanted to do one thing, no matter what I did, was I wanted to go on this radio show in Los Angeles that was called KFI, AM 640. And the reason that I had to go on this KFI AM 640 is because it was the only radio station, really, that we could get at the Int base. Because we're in the middle of the desert. And they had this giant... they had a giant radio station with more power than most radio stations, and it was AM, and you could get this radio station at the Int base almost anywhere on the Int base. If you had like a little portable Walkman or just a little, portable radio, you could listen to KFI. And they had this guy, I can't remember his name on. It was a crazy show. Phil. I have to go back in my photographic memory. I have to look at the pictures. Phil Hendry. And this radio show, Phil Hendry would be on. And it was insane. And what does it say? Everyone in this chat are SPs. Yay. Anyway, I remembered that you could hear KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk radio. I remember that you could hear that at the Int base. And I thought to myself, when I release this book, I'm going to go on KFI and I'm going to tell the story about the book, because no one from the Int base had ever written a book about Scientology. That's like sort of like you are insane if you write a book about the Int base. Like that's the craziest fucking thing I've ever heard. Anyway, so I did the radio show on KFI and it was huge. I want to say the show that I was on was called Coast to Coast AM. And it was normally hosted by this guy named Art Bell, who was kind of like a bell end himself. And I wasn't really a fan of him. He was more into like Roswell and, like insane, aliens and UFOs and all this kind of stuff. But there was another guy who would host, and his name was Ian Punnett. And he was actually a pretty smart dude, and he didn't really go crazy on some of that stuff. He would interview people about that kind of stuff too, because that's the kind of show it was. But he ended up interviewing me. It was like, I want to say it was like a 2-3 hour show. It was amazing. I sold a ton of books off that show. But and then a few years later, I did it again. I went on again. I don't remember why, but I went on the show again years and years later. And so Ron, he calls me. Whenever he left, he calls me. He goes, hey, you helped me get out. And I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, Becky and I listened to your show on KFI. When he was at the base, he listened to the show. And I was like, whoa, like that was the whole reason I did it. So some of these fuckers would end up hearing it. Anyway, he ended up hearing it, and he was like, he was basically like, you were saying shit that happened. Like you were saying what happened. You weren't bullshitting. You weren't exaggerating. It was just like, these are stories of shit that happened at the end base. And he said, and it was bullshit. Like, it was like, what the fuck? Yeah. What the fuck's, this is some bullshit. And him and Becky, this is what he tells me. Him and Becky got in trouble for listening to it. And it was a big flap. And then, they didn't leave too much longer after that. And I actually heard, I want to say, I think John Brousseau is another person who left. I think he heard the show too. And so I don't know how many other people heard the show, but if just those three, Becky, Ron, and John heard it, it was worth it. Anyway, there's 2 interviews on Coast to Coast if you want to listen to them. I don't know if they're behind a paywall now. I haven't been to that site in years and years and years, but yeah. Oh yeah. And that's the other thing. I don't even think we ever talked about Xenu, and it's a goddamn space alien talk show. Okay. What year were you in London? Oh, what year? This is Kate Olson. Hey, Kate. Shoot. It was in the 90s when I was in London. I don't know. When I was in London, it was when I was on the event crew. We had done an event at, I'm going to save this one. I'm going to mark this one here, the chat. There's a good question on here. Coast to Coast is on YouTube. Good job. Okay. We were doing an event at St. Hill in East Grinstead in England, and the event had to broadcast from London at an exact time so it could hit all the other organizations all over the world so that they could watch it. And, I can't remember. Something happened and there was a screw up, and they couldn't edit the event in time, and it missed its broadcast window. And so we had like, I can't remember what, I'm going to say it was like 7 hours before this thing had to air in the United States, and they weren't able to record it. So it was like, well, how are we going to do this? And somebody said, well, if we take a Concorde from London to LA, we can get there before it has to broadcast. But somebody has to bring the tape on the Concorde, and I was that guy. So it was like, holy shit, I'm going to go on the fucking Concorde. And I want to say it was like $5,000 a ticket. And I was like getting my stuff, and it was like doing this whole thing. And, I didn't end up going. They figured something out, or they beat up the satellite people to be able to let them broadcast from the satellite, because it was going to be $4,000 if we bumped somebody and then got their spot, and that was going to be $1,000 cheaper than me taking the Concorde. Okay, please answer the super chats. Okay, take it easy. There's 7,000 super chats. I'm going to go all the way to the beginning. Somebody said, where is L. Ron Hubbard buried? He's not. He was cremated so that they would not be able to do an autopsy on his drug-riddled body. Okay, Denver Stevio. Oh, yeah. Thanks for being you. All hail Marc Headley. Well, you don't have to hail me, but whatever. I appreciate the support. I've done put up with a bunch of nonsense, so I'm going to have some fun right now. William Tubb. Thank you, William. I appreciate the support. See, I like reading the non-super chats. Mark, do you have any interesting stories from backstage at events in the UK? Former staff member. I sure do, and I'll tell some of them. That wasn't a super chat, but I still answered it. See how that works? Aaron. Okay. Oh, that's a great one. Did I see this one? Blown for good. Have you ever seen Miscavige cry? Is he capable of crying? I don't think I've ever seen him cry. I've never seen him cry. I've never seen him hug Shelly Miscavige. I've never seen him kiss Shelly Miscavige. I've never seen him hold Shelly Miscavige's hand. I've never seen him show emotions other than anger, terror, whatever, antagonism. Okay, let's keep going. What time is it? I'll stay here for another 15 minutes if you guys let me. I love doing this stuff. Some people can't handle the long videos though, but then people are writing me saying like, you got to do longer videos. I'm just like, what? Half of you say they're too long. Half of you say they're too short. Oh, what's this one? Here's a good one. Cricket. Mark, did you know all the movie stuff before you joined Scientology? No. I think having a photographic memory, and I'm also very, very electronically and technically inclined. Like when I was a little kid, I used to take apart TVs and radios and, stuff like 8-tracks and cassette. I used to just kind of rebuild and fix, and I knew how to solder when I was real little. So I don't know. But I got, when I was I used to work, remember when I said I got sent back in the body bag from Florida? After I got sent back from the body bag in Florida, at that time, I was an executive. I was called the Quality Control Gold. So I was responsible for everything that Gold produced and it being up to a certain quality standard. Is this product capable of inducing audience admiration, respect, and impact that will forward swiftly to dissemination of dynamics and Scientology? That was my post purpose. Anyway, it's very, very sad that I still remember that verbatim. But so my job was to ensure all of the products that came out of Golden Era Productions were high quality. When I was doing that special project for David Miscavige, that's the job I was doing. So I got busted off that job and I got put into manufacturing. And then the film crew was failing miserably at shooting movies. Like they couldn't shoot a movie to say that they couldn't shoot their way out of a wet paper bag. They were a giant mess. And it was basically, I was told, you're going to be the head of the film unit and you're going to get them fixed up and you're going to get them sorted out. And I did, and they were rock stars when I was done with them. So that's how I got into the film area. I haven't seen him cry. Wow, somebody took, oh no, he just did it again. He paid $2. I answered the non-super chat, and then he super chatted the same question. Sorry about that, Anthony. Boy Scout Blazer. There you go. I love it. Let's see. I'm landing on some of these things, and then Wolfie Frank. I'm just going to get this chance to bring up Wolfie. Wolfie Frank is a Sea Org member from the Int Base, and he's coming up in the spy stories because he's a double agent motherfucker. Him and Eric Geisler are spy buddies. Yeah. They kind of bamboozled Wolfie. It'll come up. It's in one of the next spy documents pretty soon that we're coming up. I'm trying to hit these super chats before we tie a bow on this pig. I think I'm going to go for about 13 more minutes just so I don't overstay my welcome. Let's see here. Okay. Oh my goodness. Our boy grew up in a cage and gilded it himself. Not sure what that means, but thanks, Sex Bad, for $2. That is a very odd comment. I'm not sure. I'm sure somebody can explain that to me at a later date. Okay, did I put this one up already? Anything crazy happened backstage at the IAS event? Yeah, that one. There's a one in my book where we almost killed David Miscavige by accident. That happened. I can tell you. Okay, I don't remember this if this is in the book or not. If I start telling the story, somebody can mention if it's in the book or not. But at one of the IS events, we had this thing. It's called a sky cam. It's the same camera system they have now at like football games and stuff like that, where they have this cable cam, sky cam, whatever. It's a camera that can move all over the place, but it's on a cable, like a pulley and cable system that goes above the crowd, and it can go up to the stage, and it can kind of go over to this side of the stage, and it can go all around. And it's like on a high wire, like on a trapeze type setup. Anyway, the guy that was operating the cable cam was not a Scientologist. He wasn't a Sea Org member. He wasn't a Scientologist. Nothing. He's just a camera operator. Well, the lighting guy and the audio guy and almost all the other people up there, they're Sea Org members from Golden Era Productions. Anyway, for some reason, this cable cam guy, he had like a position where he would basically just let the camera lens just point straight down, and he would park it somewhere near the stage, and he would wait for his cue. And then whenever his cue would come up, he would kind of get the camera into position and then move it to wherever the shot is. But whenever he wasn't in the middle of doing that shot, he would just point the camera straight down, and he'd be pretty close up to the stage, like near the front row. Well, I don't know why he did it this way, but for some reason he thought it would be really funny if he pointed down the dress of somebody in the seats there. And so he always would just go to this one gal that was in the front row, and he just point right down her shirt, on her breastises. I don't know any other way to say it. And I don't know. I don't know why no one said anything. I don't know why it wasn't a big deal to these other guys. I don't know if they saw it. I don't know what happened. I wasn't there in the booth. I was over projection, and I was running all over that place, making sure projectors were turned on and they were converged and looking good and all that good stuff. Anyway, so the whole event happens. We're editing the event afterwards in the editing bay, and David Miscavige is sitting in there. And he's like, oh, bring up that really cool shot from the cable cam, da-da-da-da-da. And they're like, yes, sir. Absolutely, sir. So they pull out the tape, they pop it in, and there's these titties on the screen. And you're just like, oh, dude, what the fuck's going on? Anyway, the gal that this guy was parking the camera on when he would leave it in that down position, it was Shelly Miscavige. So there is like an hour worth of footage of looking right down her party dress. And yeah, that's a backstage story at an IS event, if you ever had one. Okay, let's see another one here. People got in a lot of trouble for that. There was hey, thanks, Cece Kruchko Smith. Appreciate it. Thank you. Not a lot of questions, guys. I mean, somebody's in here yipping about the super chats, and I did this one. Denver Stevio, you're welcome. There's not a lot of questions, so you guys are getting on me. Oh, here we go. Were you at the Phoenix opening? IHOP afterwards? No, I didn't even know there was a Phoenix opening. That must have been after my time. Phoenix opening. Okay, here we go. Aren't you afraid they might poison? No, I'm not afraid of that. I live here in a town in Castle Rock, and like the police here have read my book. I'm not worried about their nonsense. And I'm pretty sure they know, like, there's no amount of nonsense that's going to happen here without them getting in trouble. Finally listening to your book, facial rider. I don't know what that means. Sounds kind of whatever. Could be interpreted wrong or not. 14 chapters in, and wow, oh wow, thanks for all the great content. Also, F. Miscavige. Yeah, F. Miscavige. Zeno is my homeboy. Okay, let's see what else we got. What time is it? Oh, we're doing okay. We got a few more minutes. If you guys, you guys don't seem to be slowing down here, so I'll keep going. We might lose a few on the replay. People are going to be like, oh my goodness. I already told about the Hubbard being cremated and burned in a fire on purpose. Has anyone ever made pee-pee or poo-poo during an audit? That's just a weird question. It's Jesus Christ. Thank you. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. I don't know. That's a very good question. Not that I know of. I've really had to go. I don't even know what this means. My R6 implant is itchy. Charles Marlowe. And very good, Canadian 666. Getting a lot of. It's Friday the 13th, guys. Come on, we'll go a little bit loose out. Okay. Ooh, Maria's got a big one here. Let's do this, Maria. Maria de Jesus Gutierrez. Do you think your mother, yours, and Claire's parents won't see you because they'd have to admit, or on some level, that they were responsible for getting their families involved in that hot damn mess of a life? I don't know. The only thing I can think of is that, I don't really, To be honest with you, I don't really have a lot of ill will towards Claire's parents or my parents, because I have a sister and I have a brother. Claire has 2 sisters and a brother. If you're all in Scientology, you have to make a Sophie's choice. You have to say, do I talk to Claire's parents? I had to say, do I talk to Claire or do I talk to my other 3 kids? My mom, do I talk to my daughter and her kids and my son, or do I talk to my other son who left Scientology? There's no right answer to that question. If you leave, you got to leave with your family. And if you think that Scientology is the savior of the universe, and if you talk to your son, you won't be able to be, you won't have you will lose the availability to that future. It is what it is, man. Okay. KG Grass. I'm so glad that you joined with Mike Render and Aaron Smith-Livin, or they joined with you. I was about to say that. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You are all helping many who escape. Yeah, I've been doing this since 2006, folks. These other young bucks, they just started the party. No, we're all together. We don't play like that. I am very, Mark, you could never overstay. It's your channel. Damn straight, Skippy. Thank you, Nikki Valentine. In Scientology, they perpetuate and they promote an us versus them mentality. And there's a lot of kind of groups or cults or whatever you want to call it, clubs, fruity clubs that promote that us versus them. We're good, they're bad. We're awesome, they're not. We know the right way, they're doing it the wrong way. And that's not very productive for anybody. If you want to progress forward in life, you're going to have to work with all sorts of people and maybe you don't necessarily always want to work with. And I have found in my experience that if you get to know people and you talk to people and you understand where they're coming from, you could usually get along great. And if you don't do that, you don't. So I'm kind of a, what do they call it? Rising tide raises all ships. So there's all kinds of people that are talking about Scientology, and I say the more the merrier. If you got a different way you do it your way. I don't care. Don't tell me how I'm supposed to do it. That's for sure. And if you got a way that works out well for you, awesome. I found a way that works out well for me. Daylight Disinfectant, $9.99. Mark, what can the average guy do to help take down Scientology? Just share information, get educated. Somebody asks about it, or somebody says, oh, look at Tom Cruise, man, he's doing the stuff up high. You say, well, he is a cult member and they break up families, so frick him. I don't know. Don't let people fall for that nonsense. Oh, here's a good one. So wait, are you allowed to go to bathroom during auditing? I think if you say I'm going to shit my pants, they're going to let you go to the bathroom. They'll say, "Oh, we're going to end off for a second, and then you got to go, but you got to go back. You can't just take a dump and then be like, I'll see you tomorrow." No, you have to finish the session pretty much. So yeah, sorry about that. Was that a super chat question? Wow. Thank you for that. R.O. Lewis C.K. R. Lewis C.K. I don't know. Some of these names are insane to me. Is that supposed to be a play on Lewis C.K.? R.A.R. I don't know. Sorry. Louise, whatever. I'm not going to try to figure it out. Okay. What time is it? Try not to go too far. We'll keep going here. Let's see what, do you still have your Sea Org uniform? That's a really good question, Kim Larson. I'm trying to read the questions better because some people are telling me they're listening and they're not even watching. They're just listening somewhere. They got their headphones on and they're like feeding their cat. So I'm trying to read the questions instead of reading them super fast. I'm trying to read them like real, with good diction. No, when I left, I packed a suitcase, like a small suitcase, and I bungee corded it to the back of my motorcycle when I escaped. And Yeah, I didn't think I'd be needing those uniforms anymore, so I left those there. Yeah, so I don't got that no more. It's Joseph Martin. Hey, Joseph Martin. He's a frequent flyer here over at the Blown for Good channel. Hey, Mark, I know you hear it a lot, but sincerely, thank you for what you do. After you left, when did you decide to start up your AV company, and how hard was it for you to get up and running? It's about a year after I left, I started my company, and I'll tell you, it was not my first choice to do this, but I found out. I basically was getting the distinct impression that somebody was watching me. It's funny that because I found out about all these files, they were definitely watching me. But if you work for somebody, you can get fired from working for somebody. And I knew that they would do that. So there's I might have to go through this in a video. I have this master plan of how I'm doing things, and it's all sort of coming together now. But essentially, the best way not to get fired by working for somebody is to be your own boss. What are they going to do? Talk shit to me about me and have me fire me? No. So it's kind of I got to do it this way. Otherwise, I'm going to be always worried. And even for a long time, I didn't ever talk about this to anybody that I worked with or anything like that. And after I did that A&E show, my clients were just like, dude, I saw you on TV. And people that I hadn't heard from in forever were like, dude, I want to get you, I'm going to figure out some way to get you some more money. And I started getting more jobs because of it. So it's kind of, I don't want to say that it's working out in my favor, but it is kind of not as bad as I thought it would be if people knew that I grew up in a cult and worked for a maniacal boss baby. So, yeah. Okay, did DM's Beagle get RPF'd? No, it was the Dalmatian that got RPF'd. The Beagle was fine. Okay, that's another, I think I told that story. I don't know. But the Dalmatian did go to the doggy RPF. You know what's really crazy? The dog. Oh my God, I didn't even think of that until just now. Dave had a Dalmatian. The Dalmatian, his name was Buster. I had a Dalmatian too. And sorry, somebody's pinging me on my watch. My Dalmatian and Dave's Dalmatian were trying to get freaky with each other. And then Dave had another Dalmatian that there was, he had two Dalmatians. Dave had two Dalmatians. Magpie, which is the female who liked my dog, and Buster, who was like a Dalmatian, but he was also with something else. We don't know what, but he was just a couple sandwiches short of a picnic. And one day they have this clipper ship in the middle of the desert. It's called the Star of California. And on that ship, they had all these peacocks, and the peacocks were just walking around. And there was I don't know, it was 7 of them. There was the mom and dad, and there was all these little baby peacocks. And one day, Buster just beheaded them all and left them laying there on the lawn next to the Star of California ship. And he massacred the entire family. And so he had to go to the doggy RPF. Now, this is the crazy part. The doggy RPF is at CST. That's where Shelly is. That's where he sent Shelly. He sent Shelly to the same place he sent his evil dog. Or his dog that had, peacock issues. He's triggered by peacocks in some way. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. I'm catching up. It doesn't look like there's a lot more. Okay. 6 more minutes, and then that's it. Okay. Who had to clean up the peacock poop? Okay. So because the Star of California was part of the L. Ron Hubbard type properties, the CMO, the Commodore's Messenger Organization, has a wing that all they do is wash L. Ron Hubbard's bed sheets and scrub his toilet and clean his bedroom, all that stuff. But they're CMO, Commodore's Messenger Organizations, and the unit that does that are called the Household Unit, and those guys are the ones that clean up peacock poop. Here's another super chat. OBG Foster, did you know how much your skills were worth? I didn't. I have found out over the years. Okay. Oh my goodness. I don't know how to say that. I grew up in a cult. I'm going to use that more often. Aaron does it all the time. I don't know how to say something. I grew up in a cult. I'm mad I grew up in a cult. Can we get some Jason Bennett stories? Oh, yes, we could absolutely get some Jason Bennett stories. So Jason Bennett was one of my bosses. I don't know how I'm going to stick to this 7-minute hard out now. Sorry. Let me get a sip. Jason Bennett. Oh, my goodness. Jason Bennett, he might even, I'm going to say he might be shorter or as short as David Miscavige. He is a little man. And he was a fireball. And when I first got to the Int base, he was one of the big bosses there. He was the general manager. So he was over the manufacturing manufacturing division. And he was the executive. He was like they have an advisory council, and that's like your first layer of executives. And then they have the executive council, and that's the next layer. Like that's the top layer of executives in Golden Era Productions. And Jason Bennett was at the executive council. He was a general manager. He was a big boss man. And he was also a little bit of a boss baby. And he used to be in RTC, I think, before he got busted out of RTC. Before he was in gold, he was in RTC. He got busted out of RTC, and then he got put in gold. He might have been on the RPF and other stuff too, but when I got there in 1990, he was one of the bosses over me, and he had some anger issues he needed to deal with, and Dave Miscavige would give him the beat down a lot. He was getting nuked by David Miscavige all the time. I mean, in the 15 years I was there, I think he ended up going to the RPF like 10 years in, and he was in big trouble. And then he came back and he was a rock star again. Then he got in trouble again. And then he got sent off to somewhere to be at a Narconon to renovate some Narconon in the mountains in California somewhere. And then he ended up getting kicked out of the Sea Org. And I'm pretty sure he works in Clearwater now. And I'm pretty sure that he worked for a car sales software company run by a guy named maybe Steve Anderson. I can't remember. I don't keep track of these people after they leave. But anyway, I'm trying to think if I have any. There's a lot of Jason Bennett in my book. Pretty much any good Jason Bennett stories are in my book. But anyway, okay, let's do a few more and then we're going to get out of here, guys, because it is Friday. Oh, what's that? Oh, I had one starred. What did I star? Oh, yeah, where's Hubbard buried? Yeah, no, he wasn't buried. He was cremated. Sorry. Okay, let me answer a few. If you guys have questions, I'll answer them. Oh, yes, I worked for him. That's why I asked. He's a weird dude. That's funny. So you worked for him, MB. You worked for him when he wasn't at the end base. You worked for him in the real world in Florida somewhere at his place or whatever, his software company or wherever he was working. Yeah. Hey, thanks for everybody who tuned in this whole time. If there's people who've been in here the whole time, bless you. I don't know how you can make it through that much nonsense. But I wanted to tell you guys, if there's anybody in here who wanted to get a signed Mike Rinder book, A Billion Years, I'm pretty sure we have like 3 left, or like maybe even less now. When I went up there last, I think, I don't know, there was maybe 7 or 8 or something like that. I think we had a few buffers, so I might have to put it back in there. But by tomorrow, they're going to be gone if you haven't got one. We are going to take my paperback and my hardback book. We're going to take them off of Amazon. It's a giant mess around to fulfill for Amazon besides the Kindles and the audiobooks. We're going to stop doing it. We're so busy here doing other stuff. I don't have time to do that. So we're only going to sell them through my website. If you buy it, if you buy a hard copy or a paperback, it's going to be signed by myself and Claire. It doesn't matter if you want it or not. It's going to be signed. We're signing all of them from now on. But they're only going to be sold through Blown for Good. No more Amazon. And if you want to support the Aftermath Foundation, somebody asked me, I think it was either in a video or in an email, what can they do for the Aftermath Foundation? You can donate directly to the Aftermath Foundation. You can add Amazon Smile to your Amazon account, so that it doesn't cost you anything. Amazon just takes a portion of the purchase, and whatever percentage they have to pay a certain amount for taxes or whatever, and there's like there's processing fees or whatever, and then they can and then they donate that portion to a charity of your choice. And we do get quite a bit of donations through Amazon Smile. Anything that you buy on the SP shop, we are donating 100% of the proceeds from the SP shop go to the Aftermath Foundation. Another thing that's coming up is that we are going to open up a ton of merch: sweaters, t-shirts, mugs, magnets, bumper stickers, you name it. We have about 50 things right now that we're doing designs on and going back and forth and all that good stuff. And if you have ideas of something that you want, send it to us. We have gotten some of the most amazing designs that people have sent us. So if you know your way around Photoshop or InDesign or whatever it is you use to do all this, to do design work, and you got a really funny Xenu is my homeboy idea, or SPAF or whatever. If you've got ideas, I'm open to them. I don't have a lot of time on my hands to be designing Xenu cups, or sweatshirts or t-shirts or bumper stickers. So if you want to do that, send us it. If we like it, we'll use it. I was thinking about showing some of these things, but I don't have them right here. But maybe in the next video, we'll do one. Let me take down the stupid Jason Bennett comment. Not stupid that you commented, but I'm not a big fan of Jason Bennett, so whatever. And then what else do we got? Aftermath, blownforgood.com if you want a paperback or a hardback, SP Shop if you want a bobblehead or a bracelet, and coming soon, lots of crazy merch. And we'll see. If people buy it, then great. If they don't, okay. We've been getting a lot of requests, so we're doing it. I'm asking here because Marc doesn't require a super chat to answer. It's Colette. I see the question, but I see that. Look, I see this. I'm asking here because Marc doesn't require a super chat to answer, but I don't know what I don't know. I know I got to go back and see what Colette, or you could just say it again, Colette. Okay, now I got a super chat. Oh my goodness, Colette. Put your question in. Has anybody ever punked an auditor by making shit up? Oh yeah, totally. There was a guy at the Ant Base who confessed to burning down the film laboratory, and you could see the film laboratory from the building. Colette, does Scientology have anything to do with the writings for Scientologists who come back who has skipped the implant station? No, I don't think so. I don't know. I've never have professed to be an expert in Scientology technology, because only auditing I got was from Tom Cruise, and I got some other auditing from a student auditor when I was a little kid. And then I got some almost the same auditing, I think, as that's when I was a kid, and the stuff that Tom Cruise did, I got it again from another girl. So, I didn't get a lot of Scientology technology under my belt. I was working. I was doing stuff. I was making stuff. Okay, what else? Oh, yeah, this is a great one. People do ask this all the time, Richard. Thanks. That's a good question. Can the Church of Scientology report your freeloader debt to your credit? No. That's the most amazing thing. The freeloader debt it's a piece of paper, and you can wipe your ass with it, or you can smoke a cigarette with it, or you can put it in a bonfire, and it means nothing. So, yeah, I chose to do all of those things with it. Marc was a practice dummy for auditing. I was a practice dummy for auditing. That's exactly what it was. Okay, one more thing. One more. This is it. I'm out after this. It's almost 9:45. Hey, Marc, I'm trying to get our company away from no before. Okay, no before. Due to the Scientology link. How can I convince everyone else that we shouldn't give these people our money just to give it to Scientologists? I'm not aware what no before is. Yeah. It's a cult. I don't know. I don't know what service no before provides, so I'm not sure how to evaluate the question. May cause dizziness. But if you don't want to give your money to Scientology, then you should just say, this is a Scientology company and it supports Scientology and I don't want to be a part of that. And I'm not sure people are really going to, would fight you on that. It doesn't make sense. Okay, here's a good one. Did people write KR? I literally said this is going to be the last one, and I just see another question. Did people write KR reports on DM for his violence against people? No. Sometimes people did, and they would get in trouble. They'd be like, COB is da-da-da-da-da. You can't, do you have evil purposes against him? I don't get this. Founder is Stu, whatever that word is. It's a fishing company to train employees. Like, you spelled fishing with the PH, so I don't know if you're just like PH fat or PH fly, or I'm not sure what the PH, and fishing is a totally different thing on the internet. So I'm not sure. You're giving me lots of information, but you're not telling me anything. I'm super sorry. I don't know what to tell you. May cause dizziness. I don't know any of these people. I don't even know what a fishing company is unless you work on the Bering Sea, but you don't spell that with a PH in fish. So, okay, here we go. I'm going to go to 10 and then I'm stopping. Okay, was TC a shit auditor? Yes, he was. I fell asleep when he was auditing me. That's like the ultimate indicator of a shitty auditor, is if you fall asleep while they're auditing you. It was very boring. That's why it's spelled that way. Like, right, phishing for emails. Oh, well. I know, but she said it's a phishing email that trains people. Right, like phishing for emails. Oh, well. I'm not sure. It sounds like it might be nonsense. Yeah, show them. Yeah, I sent that email. That email of that homeless, that Scientology person homing down the homeless people. I sent that to Aaron, and I was like, dude, you need to make a video about this. But send them that video. They hose down homeless people. That's pretty messed up. Trains employees. Okay, here we go, Denver. Thank you. There you go. Trains employees how not to click on phishing. What do you mean? That it's a company that tells you not to click attachments in your email? Does not everybody know that by now? If you get an email from somebody that you ain't seen in real life, or you don't know, or you haven't traded emails with, you don't click on attachments. Wow. Okay. Here we go. Thank you, Denver Stevio, and thank you, May Cause Disney's. I get it now. I would just tell them they're bad people and they hose homeless people down. Let's not support them. Marc, can you do a blog on what some courses actually are? I have no clue what they might be and what you studied. Yeah, no, I'm not that person. That's like, who's a good person for that is... Bruce Hines. There's a series on Tony Ortega's blog, and I think it was called Up the Bridge or Going Clear or something like that. And Bruce Hines, and actually Claire did a bunch too, and they talk about exactly what courses are and what they are and what you do on them, and even some of the questions and some of the processes, and they go into all kinds of excruciating detail. Bruce Hines, Claire Headley, Tony Ortega, Underground Bunker. I don't like that stuff. I don't care about the Scientology technology. It is literally the biggest bunch of malarkey. There you go. Chris Shelton. Perfect. There's people, I'm telling you, there's a lot of Scientology people out there for Scientology watchers. And we've covered just about all the different areas. Chris Shelton has done a bunch of videos about various Scientology courses. Kat and Maggie. Thank you, Kat and Maggie. Okay. Oh, see, this is a great one. Roar. Mark, can you please source some of those cheesy Scientology training videos? No, those things have never seen the light of day. Never. They are really, really crazy about not letting those films get to the outside world. I know a few people who have copies of them, but they're not Scientologists, and they worked on them in kind of a professional, they worked on them in a professional aspect, and they might get in trouble if they leaked out. So anyway, sorry. Tracy, I'm here for the tea. Is that like when you spill the tea? Is that like the tea you're looking for? We've already been through the tea. We dumped a whole bunch of tea earlier. Tracy, you might missed it if you didn't. Oh my God, yes, Mark and Aaron should do a decode of some of their marketing crap. Yeah, I don't know. I got all these spy files. I don't know if you were here earlier, but I got 5,000 spy files right now. I got a lot of videos. I can't even imagine doing, right and wrongs. Somebody named Pineapples in here? Right and wrongs, yay pineapples. Not upside down pineapples, I hope. Whew, I've seen some of those on the cruises. That is another world of crazy. That's like messy Scientology right there. Okay, let's see what else. Yeah, here we go. IAO. I don't know what that says. That's simple. I can't read the icon, but it says, have you seen the movie The Master? As a matter of fact, I did a review of The Master. Is it The Master? I think I did a review of The Master, and I did a review of a Will Smith movie, and I think they were published in, I don't know, some kind of magazine. I'm trying to think of what it was in now. I can't remember. But either way, yes, I have seen it, and that is a great movie. Philip Seymour Hoffman is amazing in that movie. And I'm not sure who Joaquin Phoenix is supposed to be, whether he's supposed to be David Miscavige or whether he's supposed to be, I don't know. I don't know how that worked. But it was, it was an adaptation. But it was seriously based on Scientology. Like, definitely. What's this say? Alexander Barnes Ross. Mark, I seem to have missed. Oh my goodness. You guys. See, now I know. It's time. What time is it? 7 minutes. Again, 7 minutes. Has anyone ever tried to hurt DM? Not that I've seen. Let's see here. Renee Michelle. Has anyone ever tried to hurt DM? Not that I know of. I know he did break his leg in a small man's basketball league he was playing with Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise, and he broke his leg. And that was in 1993, right before the IRS tax exemption thing. And so they didn't try to hurt him, but he got hurt. And he did get mad at, there were people in RTC that would play basketball. I had my friend Jesse used to be in RTC, and I think his friend Sam and him, they would sometimes like do 2-on-2 or 4-on-4. And if they beat Miscavige, it was not good. And they would hear about it. So, yeah, small man's basketball league. I don't know why somebody's, I don't know if it was at the Ent base. I think it was at the Ent base. I don't know if it was at the Ent base or not, or if it was in Hollywood. Sorry. I just know I thought it was with Tom Cruise, and then somebody corrected me and says, no, it was Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman. It might have been during Rain Man or some shit. I don't know. Okay, here. Oh, what's this? It's Joseph Martin. Mark, what is the one album someone should listen to as an introduction to Depeche Mode? Enjoy the Silence Live Berlin YouTube. That's it. You listen to that, watch it. It's amazing. There's a lot of reaction videos. That's even a better way. Watch a reaction video to somebody else watching Enjoy the Silence in live. I want to say it's in Berlin. And there's probably, I want to say 5 or 6 reaction videos to that on YouTube right now that you can watch. And they are all amazing. I think that's one of my favorite versions of that song. I don't have any favorites. I'm just saying as an introduction. Of course, Black Celebration. Of course, Music for the Masses. Of course, Violator. Yeah, they're all, I like them. So, sorry. What is this? Probably because he smokes too much. Oh, Tom Cruise, David Miscavige. I don't know. What is it? We're coming up on 9:55 here. I just bought Violator on vinyl. Good for you. One day, Skrillex's parents are OT7, but I don't think he is. He's definitely not. He was born in, raised in it, but I don't think he's not a Scientologist. But he doesn't talk shit about it. Yeah, you know those cabinets back there. Let me see if I can point to it. These cabinets, each one of those has all of the singles, DVDs, cassettes, posters, tour guides, everything for that album is inside that cabinet. Each one of those doors open up and it's full of Depeche Mode Collector's Edition stuff. Okay. Yes, and Ultra. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, guess what, guys? I think we did it. I think we're going to be done with this. This might be the longest video that I've ever done. It is almost 10 o'clock here. Thank you, guys. I'm going to try to do some more Scientology spy files this week. We're going to do a live probably on Monday with Mike and Aaron. I might do a live with Claire if we can make some time for that. And I hope this was entertaining. I hope you guys found this informational or entertaining or informative, whatever you're looking for. I hope I achieved 10% of that. I really want to tell the stories that happened, and it's hard to do that in an edited form by reading documents or even doing a live chat with other people. It's hard. It's fun when we do the live chats with Mike and Aaron or myself and Claire or whoever. And they're fun and they're entertaining, but we don't really get a lot of information always out in those because we're all trying to tell part of the story, and we were answering questions, and it's a lot of stuff. So I'm trying to figure out how I could do something that would just be a way where I could just tell you guys a bunch of stories. And if you guys like this format, maybe I'll do this once a week. I'll just sit down and I'll make a list of a whole bunch of stories, and I'll just tell those stories. And then maybe at the end, I'll answer some questions if I can. And if that's more productive, and it seems to get really at the end of the day, I am trying to get the word out. So if I do one of these videos and it gets 5,000 views and 4 comments, then I'm probably not going to keep doing it. But if it can get 50,000 views and a few hundred comments, then I go, okay, at least it's people are finding it interesting. And also YouTube is weird like that. The other day when when Mike and Aaron and I did that video, something happened YouTube site wide and our video got killed. So I think between Aaron and I, we both lost like 10,000 views. Like they just deleted the views. So the video didn't really do that well. Not a lot of people got to see it. If the video does well and people like and people subscribe, then YouTube pushes it out. So when people are saying, oh, you got to subscribe, you got to like, you got to click on the bell icon, it's basically just to appease the algorithm. So the video will go up on YouTube and it'll get served up to people. So that's why we're trying to get you to like, and that's why we're trying to get you to subscribe. Because then more people get to watch it, more people find out about Scientology. And if I can inoculate one more person against these crazy people, I'm going to do that. That's kind of like my deal. I have a normal day job and I have a life and I've got kids and I got a family and I do all kinds of stuff. And this is my side hustle, exposing the creepy cult called Scientology. So if you liked the video and you found any of this interesting, please click the subscribe button, click the bell, click like, give me some comments. If you think there's something else you want to hear about or something else you think I can tell you, let me know. And yeah, we'll do it that way. I appreciate you guys, especially everybody who watched the whole damn thing. Sorry if I cursed too many. Some of you of your innocent ears got burned by all my foul language. That's one thing you learn in the Sea Org is you learn a lot of bad, dirty words. And I haven't forgotten any of those either. So thank you. Until next time. That's the part where I do it.